on the Advisory Council for Shepherd's Corner. I'm also Watershed Resource Specialist for Franklin Soil and Water Conservation District. And we're in the Blacklick Creek watershed here because we're actually right in Blacklick Creek. This is a part of Shepherd's Corner that people often do not see. It's on the west side of Shepherd's Corner. And one of the things that's pretty wonderful about what's happened here is the Dominican Sisters of Peace have worked with a number of people here to establish an easement protecting the banks along both sides of the creek here and the land that extends from the creek, which is really, really important, keeping the creek clean. The trees and such growing along here shade the creek, they keep the water cooler, they help stop algae from growing, and the roots help hold the soil in place. They also help filter water. A lot of functions served by what's along here. It's so wonderful that easement has been established by a number of partners, along with the Dominican Sisters, to help keep this particular riparian corridor safe and protected to help keep Blacklick safe. This particular reach of Blacklick is probably the nicest reach of the whole creek, so it's particularly great to have the easement here protected.
Hi, I'm Linda Pettit, one of the Environmental Education Specialists for the Franklin Soil and Water Conservation District. I'm also a former advisory board member for Shepherd's Corners. We have a great partnership with Shepherd's Corners, and we do creeking programs here at Blacklick. This is a fantastic area and location to really get into the water with students and help them to see the importance of good, clean quality water and find out how we know that. Also, it is an eye-opening experience to realize how many different things live in our local streams and creeks. So we do summer camp programs with Shepherd's Corners on occasion, where we come down and take them into the river. And we also work with them on school field trips, such as St. Pius, who brings kids out here every year to look at the water as a part of their water quality unit and human impact on the environment. We talk about what critters live here, how they can live here, and the quality of water that they need to survive. So one of the programs that we do here in Blacklick Creek is stream quality monitoring, or SQM. We call it creeking. We go into the water to look for the macroinvertebrates or the bugs that live there. Many of the macroinvertebrates are children of adult flying insects, and they spend a lot of their lifetime actually in the water. So they have to have a nice clean home for them to live. We can tell the quality of the water from the animals that live there. Some can tolerate pollution, some can tolerate a little bit of pollution, and some need to have really clean water. So the way we check that is this creeking program. We use a seine net. The seine is a net that has a very fine mesh. It has the two handles, it's weighted at the bottom. You put it in an area of the river called a riffle zone. A riffle zone, I always say, looks like Ruffles potato chips. It has ridges. So it has the water flowing over the rocks. This helps with the oxygen content and the flow of the stream. So you do this in small groups, or at least teams, where one person will set the net up, again having the bottom of the net on the bottom of the river, making sure the rocks aren't holding it up so the water goes underneath it, and holding that net in place. And then your partner will come into the stream and kind of do the shuffle. They're moving the water around, they're kicking at the surface to bring up any of those critters that are buried down into the rocks or into the substrate. So there are different strategies of finding the critters once you've brought the net to shore. One of them just is to look in the leaf litter that you have here and take a close look for anything that moves. One thing we're always having to tell the students is you don't take a quick look like this and say, oh, there's nothing there. You really have to take a quick, closer look and really kind of watch turning the leaves over to see if anybody is crawling on them, because these guys are pretty tiny. We have found that an ice cube tray is a really great way of separating the different critters. So you can put them in different sections of the ice cube tray. So the different things that you can find, you can pick up just with your fingers carefully. You might be able to use tweezers. Sometimes we even use little plastic spoons. And then just put them in the different parts of the ice cube tray so that you can identify them later and then do the score of the river.
I often like to take the net and dump it into a pan. And you don't have to do this. A lot of times you don't have pans available to do this, so you have to pick it straight off the net. But if you do have a pan, it can be kind of fun having a white pan where you can see it. Sometimes I find it a little easier to see them when they can swim. And so you can rinse it off like this. If you have a bucket, you can pour water down the net into the pan, and then you can look for the critters in the pan. It's an extra step, and it really depends how careful you want to be. I think to find all the critters, you need to put it into a pan, but if you're just trying to find as much as you can or get a good idea what's there, you can pick it straight off the net. One of the things you'll notice is that it's kind of hard to get some of these critters off the net. They've got little tiny legs and they can hold on to the mesh. So we've got a little critter right here. This is a CADDISFLY larva. This is a water penny. They're really good at clinging to rocks, and they're pretty good at clinging to nets too. Here's another little CADDISFLY here. And all of them, you can see I kind of shook this off, but they were still hanging on. And so whenever you're emptying from a net, you need to check that net to make sure that you haven't left critters on it.